Jersey craft beer.
Oh my gosh, we are live on the internet again. Oh my gosh, it's been like 3 days, I feel like, but today we're not just doing a typical well, last week's was interesting. Last week was introducing everyone to the collab we have coming out on Wednesday, the NJCB collab with Old Creek Brewing. But this week I'm joined by a couple. I guess I worded it as home brewers turned professional brewers in some sort of capacity, which is pretty interesting. And because the majority of everyone here is also NJCB members and longtime beer nerds and everything else. And we're also missing Jan from Jersey Cyclone, but actually here he is. We're going to add him in. Oh my gosh, look at that timing. Jan is now here and he's live. So I was just introducing everybody, but yes, we are finally, all five of us are here. Perfect. So I was saying the best part about this whole conversation is that I'm going to move you guys around for a minute, is that we are all beer nerds turned professional brewers in some way, shape, or form. We have joining me today, we have Matt from Bradley Brew Project, and we're going to come back to everyone in a moment, introducing themselves. Dave from Village Idiot. Let's bring Jan here from Jersey Cyclone, and let's go over here to Karl, who is representing MASH Homebrew and various other little things he does help out with. So we're gonna, various in terms of a ridiculous amount of homebrews from what I see, but also various other projects. So yeah, let's go down the line here, and everyone can say hi and where you're from and what you do, and kind of we'll do a little intro on how you got started in homebrewing perhaps, and then we can kind of pass it down the line. So we'll start with you, Matt.
How's it going? I'm Matt from Bradley Brew Project. I am, like everyone else at Bradley Brew Project, wearer of many hats, mostly flat brim. Sorry, already drinking today. We are a 5-barrel brew house. We produce about 1,000 barrels a year, mostly in cans these days because of COVID. And I will definitely touch on that later because that's fun. As far as getting into home brewing, shout out to my buddy Trevor, who gave me my first can of Heady Topper, guys, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And he was like, "We can make this," and I was like, "I don't know, man." And I met him through a coworker. Anyway, so it became like keeping up with the Joneses. Like every time he got a new piece of equipment, I would get a new piece of equipment. And then next thing you know, like we joined a group called Ferment the World, which met in New Brunswick at Harvest Moon every first Monday of the month. It possibly still do it, I don't know. And then met a bunch of bunch of jabronis, and we started Garden State Homebrewers. And then from there, it was just a feeding off of everybody's beautiful knowledge on how to do things, and it just became like just straight up passion. Just like brewing every weekend. Like what I always joke with people now is like when you get into professional brewing, it's a lot of like consistency and things like that. It's like home brewing is that these days. If you ask any home brewer, it's like everything we do in professional setting is definitely mimicked in that sense. And then I got a job at Bradley Brew Project, and been there for almost 3 years now, and it's amazing. So, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Ferment the World, that was one of the first like Central South, first Central, I think, homebrew clubs. Jan, didn't you guys hang out there too?
A little bit. Stopped in a couple times.
Yeah. So with that being said, here's Jan from Jersey Cyclone Brewing. So take the floor from there, because you guys were supposed to be in New Brunswick. So that's what I was there. See, it swung back to that tiny little place that you were not at.
Patterson Street
in New Brunswick. Yeah.
That is it. So my name is Jan. I'm from Jersey Cyclone Brewing. We're now in Somerset. We are a 5-barrel brew house. We range from 2 to 15 barrel fermenters at this point. We originally were going to start in New Brunswick, as Mike alluded to. Little place on Patterson Street. I think it was about 12 or 1,500 square feet. We're like, when we started out, we're like, okay, we're gonna jump into this little space and go from there. Well, that didn't work out, and was one of the best things that worked out for the brewery as a whole. But starting out, looking back at our roots, I mean, Brian and I, we both kind of shared a passion for doing fun things. And Hurricane Irene came through. My family owned a deli in Manville, and we got flooded out. And rebuilding the store, you don't really have a lot of free time. And then from there, Brian was studying for his CPA, working on that. Again, not a lot of free time. So what are you going to do? Well, we like beer, so hey, let's try to homebrew. And all of us have probably tried the Mr. Beer kit over the years, and probably turned out like a vinegary, horrible something or other. But we're like, okay, we're gonna jump in and try extract batches. We did one extract batch, and from there we kind of jumped into all grain, 100% all grain brewing, and ended up doing 4 1-gallon batches every weekend, and it was phenomenal. It was fun. That's the joy of home brewing, as Matt kind of alluded to. It's you kind of play around, you just have fun. It's a couple friends, you make some beer. Hopefully everything turns out awesome, and all of our batches were definitely solid. And we kind of joked around, going, "Oh, let's open a brewery," and kind of joked here or there. We met Mike over some beers with NJCB, and that really drove our passion for making beer. And ended up renting the space in New Brunswick, didn't work, and eventually ended up in Somerset in a 5,000 square foot brewery. 2,500 of it is tasting room, 2,500 is manufacturing, and at this point we're continuing to grow into wholesale and as well as tasting room, and just doing the best we can with all the COVID restrictions. But definitely an honor to be part of the group and be one of the group here that was able to make home brewing into a business.
Yeah, I think it's I think you guys, Jan, you and Brian were one of the only breweries that started straight out because of NJCB.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you for coming. It's definitely one of those things where we love when stuff like that happens. I love when breweries do something that like, oh, well, we met because of, or we went here, or we're, whatever, or somebody met on the NJCB members only group and became friends with whatever. Now they have a beer sharing thing or whatever, that kind of thing, which is pretty cool too. And I know, bring Karl over here. I know Karl homebrews a bunch, so maybe you can talk about not making vinegary, disgusting beers, because I don't know how to make any beer, but I'm sure you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you know how to make.
Well, I've certainly had my fair share of vinegary, disgusting beers that have gone down the drain. That's just part of the process, but those are few and far between. Thanks for having me on. It's glad to be here. I'm a home brewer. Still am. I'm probably going to be firing up the brew kettles tomorrow evening. I've been brewing since 2007, so about 14 years. I kind of got into the hobby when I was hiking the Appalachian Trail in 2007 from Georgia to Maine. So I was on a 6-month through hike, and I was in this AMC hut in the White Mountains in New Hampshire at this hut called Zealand Falls Hut, and they had a library there, and I found this book in the library called The Complete Joy of Homebrewing. It was written by Charlie Papazian, who was the founder of the Brewers Association, which I'd imagine a lot of the folks on this call are a part of. But I spent the next month hiking through the woods in New Hampshire and Maine, just thinking about brewing beer after thumbing through this book for a few hours at this shelter. And when I got off the trail, I found this company called Northern Brewer, who sold this starter kit for $150 or something, and I just put it in my shopping cart, and it was at my house a couple days later. And next thing I know, I'm making beer on the kitchen stove. And the first batch came out amazing. It was an Irish red. All my friends were totally into it. But then batch number 3, I definitely had a clunker that I learned a lot of lessons on sanitation and dry hopping techniques, and that one went down the drain. But I'm an engineer by trade, and I can tend to have a fairly obsessive personality. So of course, there's no end to homebrewing. There's always something to improve on, to new thing to build, new thing to tinker with. So what started off on my kitchen stove has now turned into a 10 by 20 outbuilding on my property that has heat, water, and electric, and a floor drain. I can control my brewery from my computer while I'm brewing. I can control my fermenters from anywhere that has an internet connection. It's absolutely unnecessary stuff to make good beer. But it's what makes it fun for me. I love the tinkering aspect of the hobby. But yeah, just my obsession with homebrewing just kind of opened up a lot of interesting doors for me. I guess I started really getting out in kind of the more of a public homebrewing community with when I found MASH, the Morris Area Society of Homebrewers, and that's my homebrew club up here in Morris County area. They've been around since 2012. I think I found myself at the 3rd meeting that they had, and just with MASH, I just helped really grow this community of brewers in northern New Jersey. And before COVID hit, we were 75 members strong. I think even through COVID, we still have about 50 paying members, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, just through MASH, we stood up one of New Jersey's largest homebrew competitions called the Motown MASH. We tied that to this really cool event called For the Love of the Craft, where Matt's been a part of that, where we paired some of the other local homebrew clubs with some pro brewers. And they would get together and brew a unique beer, and that beer would be served at a beer dinner following the Motown MASH. So that's just been this really fun experience and a really great way to connect with brewers. And from a professional standpoint, I'm kind of the outlier here. I have a job that I really like. I saw a lot of my friends opening breweries and seeing that becomes their totally consuming part of life. And, I kind of made the decision not to open my own brewery and go pro in that respect. But I still have, I'm best friends with the folks from Twin Elephant. I essentially grew up with Cindy Durama from Twin Elephant. And when they were getting started at the time, had a little bit more brewing experience than Scott and Tim did. So I really helped. I was lucky enough to be able to help put the brewery together with them and help brew some of those early batches and play with water chemistry and get stuff dialed in. I had been into yeast counting and some quality control aspects of brewing. So I actually brought my microscope down and taught them how to count yeast cells, and they still actually have my microscope. And,
I want that back.
yeah, I mean, they're getting a whole lot more mileage out of it than I am at home, but but I still they let me call myself the special projects coordinator up there, and I get to play with the barrels and whenever I feel like popping my head in and brewing, I get to do that.
Well, I think when we do the, I'm not going to seed it out there too much, but as soon as we do the NJCB collab with Twin Elephant, you got to show up for that one.
Yeah,
future
for sure.
plans, guys. Future plans.
Can I come to that too?
Yes, totally.
We all get an invite.
Everyone gets an invite.
I live down the street, so it's okay.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. And how many batches a year do you typically homebrew, Karl?
Oh boy, well, probably about 40. I think I'm up to batch number 259. I could probably check real quick. Let's see, batch number 286 was my last batch. So tomorrow will be batch 287, brewed at home. So whatever that is, divide that by 13 and a half, and there we are.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Which leaves us to a small brewery, right, Dave?
Yes. So I'm Dave from Village Idiot. We're a 1.5 barrel system in Mount Holly, New Jersey. I got home brewing probably about 15 years ago. Just started off at the Mr. Beer and it was like making tea. So I was like, I went right into the extract, and then did a couple of them, and then I went into the whole all grain, and pretty much I was part of Barley Legal for a couple of years, and going with that and stopping up at Vince's, being friends with him, and started working at Zed's first, and then Vince, Village Idiot was always where I wanted to end up at, because it's one of my, it makes some of my favorite beers. So, and he was hiring, so I applied, and he's like, you homebrew, you know how to talk beer, you cicerone, you got the tips, everything. You want it, you got it. I was like, all right, cool. And I've been there for about 3 years now, and I help him out in the back whenever I can. I'm one of the rare ones here. I have on my day job, I'm still working at a warehouse, so when he brews, it's during the day, so I can't help him that much. But on Saturdays when he brews, I'm there to help him out. And I've loved beer since, I don't know, freshman year in high school. I mean, and I just went from there.
Freshman year, huh?
Yeah, well, I'll go with that.
I go with like 14, give or take, so it's around the same. Yeah, it's pretty cool to have everyone.
Maybe a couple of years earlier.
Plus or minus a couple.
Give or take. No, it's pretty cool to have.
We do.
It's true. We got some comments earlier while we were going through here. One of them was about thinking that some of the breweries that came out of MASH, which, if there's any others that you know of, Karl, that's pretty cool. We already talked about some of the other breweries that obviously came through Ferment the World and Jersey and Garden State. But it's these homebrew clubs, like Dave just alluded to the homebrew, to Barley Legal, which was South Jersey's biggest homebrew club. There's a lot of South Jersey and even maybe Central Jersey homebrew clubs, regular breweries that came out of and Pennsylvania breweries that came out of Barley Legal. It's pretty cool to have this many different breweries coming out of different projects there. And we had a lot of comments on what you guys are currently making and some people's favorite beers. Let's ask you, Jan, since I think you guys are releasing a few beers almost every week or so. Are any of the beers that you guys are putting out like direct homebrew recipes scaled up, or obviously tweaked and stuff? But how's that going since you've been open for, like, you know? Did we drop you? You there? No. Did you hear me, Jan, or no?
Yep, I got.
Oh, right.
So we started out with predominantly all of our homebrew recipes brewed on a larger system, and as many new brewery owners learn, that scaling is only as good as you make of it. And at the end of the day, we made some solid beers out of the brew house first time around, but since then, we've really embraced our team's knowledge and really abilities, and we were able to take that and take our recipes and continue to grow them. I mean, that's the one fortunate thing we can say with having the group and the team we have is everyone kind of chimes in, everyone kind of puts their 2 cents in, and we're able to grow those recipes, but they're ever evolving. I'll say the intent is the same. Snowtober, Eye of the Storm, they're some of our original beers that we homebrewed on, and that's some of the beers that really inspired us to open a brewery, but they've grown since we opened.
Yeah. So. And how about you, Matt? Do you guys have some of your recipes, or I know like Mike also used to homebrew and stuff. So how does that work?
So actually, Jan had a great point about it. Ever evolving. Unicorn Girls, which is our #1 beer, and most people know us by that. That started off as one thing, and I think as of now, I think today we brewed batch 347. It wasn't Unicorn Girls, although I always joke, like people come in and be like, "Oh, what are you brewing?" And it's like, if you have to ask, it smells like a Unicorn Girls. But with Unicorn Girls, it started as one thing. And then as we started learning more and more and more about not only what we could do, but what we couldn't do, which is also a big point about, like when you get into homebrewing, you basically can do anything when you're homebrewing. But when it comes to professional brewing, you have to intertwine business aspects of it. We'd love to put Galaxy and everything, but it's expensive, so you don't. Or put fruit in everything, but you don't because it's expensive. So it starts as one thing, and it evolves to the market and how we want it to drink. I mean, that's one of the biggest parts is we want it to drink a certain way, so we evolve it that way. But they all start from some kind of knowledge we had before this place even opened. And I was drinking this guy before John. This is our Pilsner, and that started in my homebrew days as Hundo Pils. It's just 100% Pilsner malt and 100% sauce, and it's pretty simple. And like something like that. Why wouldn't you take this simplistic beer and add it to your repertoire? Very easy to make. I mean, it's a Pilsner, so it's not easy, but something like that. But then you turn and you look at, like, we just did this beer with Me Moms, and it was I think we called it a culinary breakfast ale with a bunch of adjuncts, bananas Foster, blueberry compote, vanilla, cinnamon, and milk sugar. And something like that did not start as a homebrew recipe. I can tell you that right now. But actually, funny story behind that. Maybe 1 year into my homebrewing life, somebody I knew, she may have been a female, asked, "Oh, can you make me a blueberry French toast beer?" And I was like, "Sure, totally." Cut to, like, I don't know, 2 months later, where me and my brother had safety glasses on and gloves, opening them up because we didn't carve them properly and they were exploding. So some would say this is my redemption. There's always a play in like what you've learned throughout your life, whether it be, a hobby or professionally. Every day that you learn something, it impacts you no matter where you learn it from. And so that plays a big role in what we're doing. I see a comment here, and I want to comment on this because it's very funny. Bill asked, "When are we making? Can I put the hops in?" That's actually what we brewed today. So hang in there. In a 10 barrel. So give it 2.5 weeks. But yeah, so everything that we do in that house and leading up to that house plays a factor in how we do everything, and it, positive and negatively, it might be a thing that we're like, wow, we've been doing this way, and we learn a new way to do it, and we're like, okay, we'll put that aside, and we learn our lesson not to do it that way. It's not all positive. I'd love to say that everything we're just geniuses when it comes to what we do, but it's not the case. We learn. But yeah, so homebrewing plays a huge role in that. And yes.
He's excited, and of course, we're also trying to have him calm down. So now we're internet fighting. This is what the internet's all about, right? Yep. But yeah,
Mark's actually who I took over for at Village Idiot.
That's true. You did take over from Mark. Now he needs to calm down.
Yeah, you calm down, Mark.
It's definitely one of those things. Like, it's pretty cool. Dave? Do you have ideas and recipes that you've come up with? I think there's one that you really love.
So one of my favorite beers, and I know it's so basic. It's Mad Elf. And last year I went to the store, bought my 3 cases, and I got pissed off. I paid $180 or $190 for 3 cases of beer. So I went home, studied up the style, figured out the cherries, the honey, the whole bit. Made it up at home, brought some in for Vince to try, and it's one of our top beers right now. It's Mad Idiot, and it works. People like it a lot, and it's got a little bit more of the chocolate hints to it. But people like it a lot. Came out to like 12.5%, and we just finished our last keg of it last weekend.
Yeah, it's a
good beer. It was a can. Not all my beers I'm proud of. I'm very proud of that one.
I mean, it should be. Plus, it's yours, right?
Yeah,
from soup to nuts, it was your idea in here. Yep. Karl, with some of the ideas that you had out there and done yourself, and for your for mash and all that other stuff, have any of those kind of ideas gotten scaled up or repeated, or do you tend to like do some of the same things over and over, or?
I can answer that in 2 ways. So an interesting timing is I'm actually scaling up one of my recipes at Twin Elephant on Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
It's one of my Pilsners. It's actually one of the beers that I just kind of brewed over and over and over again during lockdown because it was like what I want to just drink all day, every day. I called it the social isolation solution. But to me, with scaling up a recipe, it really comes down to brewers being able to communicate, in the same language, right? Working with, when you're scaling up a recipe, you can get a lot of variation with malt from different maltsters. So, if I'm a home brewer talking to a pro brewer and we're having the malt conversation, if I just simply say 2-row, that could mean a lot of different things. Or especially for this Pilsner, I had been brewing that Pilsner with best Heidelberg malt. And that's kind of the malt flavor that I really like with that. So, being able to speak that language with the pro brewer as you're scaling up the recipe, I think really goes a long way. So, maltster choices and water chemistry. If you can if you can match your sulfate and chloride and calcium and mash pH and those things, that goes a long way to a successful scale up. Hops, I think, are maybe one of the trickiest ones because hops will tend to perform very differently in different kettle sizes and geometries and boiling rates and all that stuff. So there's a little bit more of an art when it comes to the hop forward beers. So that's actually what I'm probably a little most worried about with my Pilsner scale up is I had my hop charge dialed in for my 10-gallon or 15-gallon batches, but going to a 5-barrel, right out of the gate, getting one crack at it, I think is going to be probably our biggest challenge for that ramp up. But I know, Scott, the brewer and owner at Twin Elephant, he's just a wizard with recipes. So I'm not actually that concerned. I'm sure he's going to nail it. But yeah, to me, scaling is all about having having a good conversation brewer to brewer where you're all talking the same language. But as far as mash goes, we've done a lot of collaborations with pro breweries, and a lot of that is just riffing on ingredients and coming up with wacky ideas, and the home brewers will throw out some ideas and the pro brewers will rein them in a little bit, like I don't think we can add that many pounds of raspberry, or stuff
No,
like
you
that.
can.
You can.
Yeah. It
So,
won't be pleasant, but you can.
A ramp up is way different than a collaboration, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's home brewers throwing out wacky ideas, and then the pro brewer putting pen to paper and making it work on their system. And some fun stuff's come out of it. Some wacky, weird stuff's come out of it. But I think both the home brewers and the pro brewers learned along the way. Learned about their brewing system and various ways to use those new ingredients. Like with mash, we used spruce tips at Twin Elephant for the first time, and they had never brewed with them before. And we learned a lot about what spruce does in a beer, and they still use it today in a couple different IPAs and saisons. And it's become a fun ingredient that they've worked into a little bit of a rotation there that I think came from the homebrewers. So
it's pretty cool, pretty interesting.
Karl, can I ask a question real quick? Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, of course.
You were talking about the scale ups and the differences, between a collaboration and a scale up. And I'm currently having this conversation in our homebrew club, Garden State Homebrewers. Shout out. Homebrew Club of the Year 2020. So we, I was talking about pro-am versus winning a competition and having a brewery scale up your brewery. And I think you bring up a good point about a conversation around what the idea is versus here, take this recipe and brew 5 barrels of it or 10 barrels of whatever it is. And that speaks a lot to, the ties between homebrewing and pro brewing, where it's the same language, it's just under a different house. Right. And I think that's what the beauty of what brewing is today in a professional sense is. We all have our background, how we learned. And so we speak the same language, we have different experiences. So you might say, let's put spruce tips in this. And I'll say, I've never used them. Which is why I have. They're awesome. You don't get what you think from them. Like watermelon. Just think watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
And that continues that learning experience, which is I feel like part of the whole reason we all do this is we just love absorbing the things we learn and trial and error. And yes, in a pro brewing sense, there's hopefully less error, but it happens. But great breweries dump bad beer. That's the part of it. But yeah, I just want to comment on that because I thought it was really cool.
Right on.
So, what kind of things do you guys have coming down the line at at the breweries? Like anything new coming up that was something that has been aging for a while, or barrel aged things, or something new coming, especially with like the seasons changing and some of the everyone wanting to get the fuck out of their house a little bit more than they have been. Jan, I'm going to throw this over to you for a moment, because I know I'm staring at one of your barrel aged bottles over there, and I'm curious what else you have coming down the line.
So we got quite a bit coming down the line, actually. So this upcoming Saturday, it'll be our second anniversary, or when we're planning to celebrate our second anniversary, since it's May 4th for us. But we got a couple things in barrels. We still have some more Snowtober. So I'm sure, Mike, that's probably what you're staring at right over there.
It's over there.
We also have 3 other barrel age variants. We have we have a tequila barrel aged, rum barrel aged flood. We have a whiskey barrel aged flood, and we have a rye barrel aged flood that we plan on releasing later on this year, as well as our Thunder in a Distance, our barley wine. We have that aging in ex-Snowtober barrels, which were once bourbon barrels. So for us, we're playing around with that. Some of the recent stuff we're doing, lagers have been doing phenomenally well coming out of our brew house. Charles has done a absolute phenomenal job in working through our brew system and ensuring that our lagers are coming out as perfect as they can. So, for us, we have May Day coming out this Saturday, which is our Maibach, as well as we're doing Imperial Storm Cloud coming back. We are doing a double dry hopped Eye of the Storm variant using all Nelson on the dry hop. I'll tell you, that thing's phenomenal tasting right now. Doing a couple cases through the in cans, and then the rest is on tap. So
awesome. How about you, Dave? What do you got going on over there at Village Idiot? What's coming new?
Pretty much the same old with us, man. I mean, we have our pretty much set list. We just came back out with the bike route for a little bit. But I mean, as far as I don't think we have anything really new coming up. I know we did a Kolsch last year that we're coming out with again this summer. He came up with an idea to make it even more dry, which we love dry beers there. I know the muck juice is going away for a little while, so we're gonna have this, just to change it up a little bit. We have our slushies. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you bring your slushies back?
No, we haven't stopped selling them.
Oh, good.
I can't. You know what? When he bought it, he was like, "I did something you're gonna hate." I was like, "Oh, what?" He goes, "I got a slushy machine." I have to give him credit. It sells, man. It sells. We sell out of that every weekend.
We make seltzer, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's a frozen seltzer. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll divulge in a seltzer at the end of a shift.
The lemonade was really good for a hangover. Really good for Saturday and Sunday. Shifts.
We're yet to make a seltzer on our side.
What's that?
We're still yet to make a seltzer.
It's like one of those hard, easy things. We held out for a while, and then actually our representative for Country Malt really got in my head, because I'll always say like, oh yeah, we brew pilsners because there's nothing to hide behind, right? That's the statement. Everyone knows that statement. Yep. If you're a brewer, so he got in my head, and he goes, so think about that, right? You like brewing pilsners? There's literally nothing to hide behind in a seltzer. It's water. And I was like, oh, you got me. Yeah. Got me.
I don't know. Our
challenge accepted.
Pills, our last pills came out freaking unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to Mark real fast. We have the Wenstefaner on right now. but we changed it. All right, so it started off as Wentz Stefaner, then it went to full Stefaner, then it went back to Wentz, then it went to Hertz, and now we're just leaving it as Foles because he wants the Super Bowl.
Are you gonna do a version that's banana and call it Bananas?
Nah.
Right? Am I picking up on that
Right.
joke? Gwen Stefani?
I get that a lot too at the brewery. Like, oh, I thought it was for Gwen Stefani. I was like, no, it's Carson Wentz.
Oh. From
Because
Wentz
it went from Wentz to
Stefani.
Foles to so this past year after the season we were like, we're just keeping it as Foles and that's it. We got a new tap that has the Super Bowl thing on top of it. So
and yeah, you guys with your names, and then
yeah.
you guys have like Monkey Breath, I think, over at Village
That's actually
Idiot.
our top selling beer.
Yeah, well,
And
it's named,
we have many places, and he's discussed it, but we don't know what we're going to do with it. But we have a lot of places that actually ask about getting that on tap in their bars. And I said we go through more of that. That's doubled everything else that's in our that we have on our taps. When I first started working there, when I first started working there, we were bringing up quarter kegs and putting it because it's a different. We have a cold box downstairs, and then we have basically a big kegerator upstairs. And I was bringing up quarter kegs, and I just got sick of it, so I started bringing up half kegs and just putting it up there.
yeah, it's well, when you're brewing on a smaller scale like that, it's much harder to get out to production with a 1.5 barrel system,
Yeah.
versus like a 5 barrel or 10 barrel, etc. Right. So Karl, you already kind of talked about it before, but brewing. Do you have anything new coming out of your homebrew stuff that you're working on or just planning on?
Well, on the homebrew side, I have like a little mini barrel program in my brewery. I have 3 15-gallon barrels. 2 of them are Dad's Hat rye whiskey barrels, and one is a New Liberty Distillery whiskey barrel. And all 3 of those are due for turns. I haven't sampled the beer that's currently in them in a while, so I'm hoping they're all still holding up. I'm assuming they're going to be good, but I want to keg the 3 beers that are in those barrels and refill them. When I'm working with my home barrels and barrels to an elephant, I really like to empty the barrel, give it a rinse, sometimes steam it, sometimes none of those things, depending on what's in the barrel, and then fill it right back up like immediately and not let it sit empty at all. So before I keg the beer that's in my barrels, I want to I need to get the next one set up. So the oldest one has a mixed culture saison in there. There's or golden sour, I guess. And usually when I rack out of that, I'll do 5 gallons or I'll do 10 gallons on fruit in 2 different fruits. So I'll do 5 gallons on raspberries, then 5 gallons on peaches or cherries or something like that. And I'll usually drink the rest straight or like throw some fresh dry hops at it or something. The other barrel has just a clean saison in it. I haven't had any Brett to that or yet, so I'm just trying to get the like just a little bit of oak character into that saison. And I'll probably put another clean saison in that again until I decide it's time to go nuclear and add the mixed culture. And then the newest barrel has a coconut imperial porter in it that I always brew for my wife. That's like her favorite beer ever, coconut porters. So I'll rack that out, spend like way too much time trying to get all the 5 pounds of coconut flakes out of that thing. It's like the day ever. But it's worth it.
Yeah.
I'll put the barrel rinser in it and just go and go, and it takes like an hour, and I'll still like the next batch. I'll still find like a couple coconut flakes floating to the top. But after that coconut beer, I'm gonna do a Berliner big barley wine, a huge barley wine. So that'll be the third fill. In my barrel program at home, I always do when I first get the barrel, a huge imperial stout, and then I'll do the coconut porter, and then I'll do a barley wine, and then I'll start going to those saisons as the oak character really diminishes and any booze that came with the barrel kind of fades. And once it's kind of really, really neutral, then I'll funk it up with Brett and pedio and lacto. So that's probably my next big projects for home. At Twin Elephant, I can't really speak to the day-to-day taproom kind of stuff, but I can say that we are getting real close to packaging up our 4th bottle release. We have this one barrel that's just magic there. It's the first white wine barrel that we filled with pineapples. Like this was 4 years ago, I guess, and that was the echoes they left behind. And everything that comes out of that barrel is just magic. That one got blended with another saison with spruce. Actually, the mash beer we did for the love of the craft, beer from the pineapple barrel and beer from another barrel that had the mashed spruce beer and got blended for When Forever Comes Crashing. And then that pineapple barrel got filled again and released as Felisa, a tribute to Cindy's mother. And that barrel is full again and ready to be bottled. So we think we just got to come up with a fun thing to blend it with, and who knows what it's going to be, some kind of fruit or another saison or something hoppy. Since I'll be down there tomorrow, we'll probably have a few beers and make that decision tomorrow or Wednesday.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I obviously don't make beers out of anywhere except this year because of COVID. We're making beers everywhere. So we just had a collab release with Vinyl Brewing last week that was called I've Got My Body and My Mind on the Same Page, and it was a butterfly pea flower, grapefruit and lime sour. That was beautifully pinkish purple and acidically lovely and delicious. And it was, I think, it was getting pretty good reviews. So if you're at Vinyl and they still have some on tap, it was a small batch, obviously, for their sour week. Go give that a try. And then this week coming out on Wednesday for those paying attention, we have an early release of how do I put this? It is a calamansi, which is a lemon lime, like Filipino hybrid fruit that is a calamansi kind of like Berliner style with a ale over there at Old Heights. It's brewed with Philly sour yeast, so it's got a nice little tartness to it. Delicious, like fruit tones. I had tried it yesterday. Was yesterday Sunday? Yes.
Sure.
So I tried it yesterday. It's going to be coming out this Wednesday. For those that are still listening, stop it to Old Heights on Wednesday after 5 o'clock to give it a try. An NJCB member exclusive night to release it, just like we did last week at Vinyl on last Monday. And we have a couple other beers coming out. We currently have a beer that's fermenting away at Third State. We made a saison with them. I'm not going to tell you everything that's in it right now, but because that'll be another one of these videos. And there's a couple other collabs I'm working on, including the AC Beer Fest collaboration beer, and a beer with Gusto down in Cape May area, a beer with, I don't know, I already mentioned it, with a beer with Twin Elephant coming down the line eventually. There's going to be a bunch of these different things happening. So, obviously those guys aren't on the call here, but if Village Idiot and Jersey Cyclone and Bradley Brew Project, we're down for any more collabs anytime. So you guys let us know.
I'll talk to Vince.
Game on.
And, it'd be kind of fun to do to do as many as possible. And, thank you guys all for tuning in. On the way out of here, I'm going to let you guys plug away at all of your different things, and how to find you all on social. If anyone else if anyone else has anything to say, feel free. We're going to start over there with Karl, how to find you, and Pat will pass it on down the line.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Hungus Brews, Hungus. Hungus Brews. That's my hiker trail name. Comes from the Big Lebowski movie. One of the characters in the Big Lebowski. Anyway, yeah, at Hungus Brews on Instagram and Facebook. I have a page there. A lot of my content these days seems to be biking and hiking, but I still throw some beer content in there for sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say this Saturday we're celebrating National Homebrew Day. So I think there's probably some kind of online thing with the American Homebrewers Association that you could tune into and share a pint with homebrewers around the world. I think it's usually around 1 p.m. is the 1 p.m. Eastern is the official Brewers toast. So yeah, I guess I would just say yeah, let's all celebrate National Homebrew Day. And if you're interested in getting into homebrewing, it's like the best hobby in the world. So seek out anyone on this call. They can point you in the right direction. Find one of your local homebrew clubs and make
They're all listed on NJCB too. So if you're looking for the resource, click onto the menu item on NJCB and go to resources and
click the best ever. Best of the year.
I had no idea where it was on my shirt.
Yeah, NJCB, you guys have an awesome database of homebrew shops and homebrew clubs all over the state. So that is we're all really appreciative that you put that up there for us homebrewers and yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Dave, how do we find Village Idiot? I'm not sure.
Facebook. I mean, we have our Facebook page. We have an Instagram, I think, but I don't even think we even do anything with it anymore. I mean, but best thing to do is, Mount Holly, New Jersey. I mean, it's a cool little town now. We got wineries, we got distillery, 2 breweries, we got Spellbound right around the corner, and cool little town, good food, good times. I mean, yeah, you can find me. I'm Dave Martin. I mean, I'm sure if you looked it up, there's gonna be 9 billion to come up.
The only one that chugs 14% alcohol beers at 4:30 in the morning,
and that's with the power hour. I know, yeah.
Power hour. Let's not do those again. Or maybe we should. Jan, how do we find Jersey Cyclone?
So we're, the usual social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Yelp. We're on it. As a whole, for us, it's just growing the company and everyone's knowledge of what we do and what we do in the beer industry. Karl, from your end, I completely forgot about Homebrewers Day, and honestly, we've been so busy with our anniversary. That's pretty awesome that we're actually celebrating our anniversary on National Homebrewers Day. It's actually something a little humbling on our end, from what we do and what we've done and how we've gotten here. So it's pretty awesome. One thing from our end, we're also, if everything works well Saturday, we might have an outdoor beer garden for the first time since beginning of COVID. We've kind of negotiated things with the landlord, and now, fingers crossed, waiting for some people to sign off on the permit. So if you're around on Saturday, come on out. There's going to be some awesome beers on tap, a couple casks that we've been working on too. So,
that sounds. Casks. Remember those?
Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
Remember casks? Remember Cask Festival at Uno's? Those were good times.
Oof.
Remember Uno's? That doesn't exist either. Oh, I'm getting sad for a second there. But yeah, thank you for joining up. Sadly, I wish that you guys had the outdoor during all this, but the hopefully this, fingers crossed, that everything works out and we can expand your space. That'd be great.
It'd be huge.
And John Zale wants to know, Jan, if you guys are on MySpace. Just for some reason.
Who isn't on MySpace?
Oh,
Come
come
on.
I mean, right?
Well, I guess I'll have to hire him as a consultant.
I
What's
guess
up,
so. He
Tom?
needs to be.
How's it going, Tom?
He's really good with HTML and like those twinkle stars that would appear all over your names, right? So Matt, how do we find Bradley?
So you go down the Parkway. Typically, I take exit 105 to 18. It's quicker. People like to take exit 1. Oh, socially. At Bradley Brew Project on Instagram. We have a lot. We're always doing a lot of great things. We release beers almost every Thursday. You can see what we're releasing on Instagram. Actually, not this Thursday, next Thursday, the 6th, we're releasing a collaboration with Garden State Homebrewers. Actually, a beer that we did for the love of craft. 2 years, somewhere around there. Which is
last year doesn't count for anything.
Well, yeah, that's right. We didn't do it last year, so 3 years ago. Because, yeah, boy. So we're releasing that in a week and a half. New Zealand style Pilsner, all New Zealand hops. That will be great. You don't want to follow me on Instagram because it's just more beer and my nieces. It's kind of boring. It's really just for me. You can also follow Garden State Homebrewers on Facebook and Instagram, possibly. I don't know. I feel like a bad member not knowing that.
You guys are on Instagram.
All right, good. Yeah, totally. I knew that. Homebrew Club of the Year 2020 on Instagram. What else? I mean, I got a long list of people I'd like to thank. But seriously, I'd like to thank Mike and Chelsea, who are probably watching this right now. So I hope I didn't say anything wrong. The people who give us homebrewers opportunity to express ourselves through beer in a professional aspect, it's amazing to think that there's some people out there who have this dream, and then you get the opportunity to help them with their dream. So I'd also like to thank them because they're a big part of like what we get to do.
Yeah, and if we circle back full circle or whatever, Mike and his wife Chelsea are the co-owners of Bradley Brew Project. Mike was on my team from NJCB years and years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Which is one day I was sitting somewhere and he came up to me, wrote me whatever it was, and I was like, "Huh? Wait, yeah? Huh?" Confused. Okay, because like we kind of lost touch and whatnot, and then I'm like, "You're opening a brewery in Bradley? Cool, perfect." And it just like I love this kind of stuff, and it's that's the kind of stuff that makes this all worth it. And yes, to be able to see all these faces and see all these people and see all these communities kind of coming together. It's a beautiful thing. So I want to thank all you guys for going to. I want to thank you for going to myspace.com/njcb.
Freshest content.
And thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Apparently,
Yes,
but
thank
yeah,
you.
Thank you,
thank you
Mike.
guys. And I don't know where I am. Everyone's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of my delicious coconut not barrel aged tea.
Yeah.
You get a goddamn beer.
I mean, I'd probably drink a barrel aged tea. I would try it. I would definitely try it.
I would try it too. I mean, last Friday, I think it was Friday, maybe Saturday, I drank I woke up with a dozen beers that were nothing below 8% empty on the shelf down here, and I'm like,
light evening.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's like a
I'm
normal Friday night.
Really?
I'm like, oh, that was after a couple more that were in the garbage upstairs. So Mondays are for not drinking. So
that's why we do these on Monday nights.
Yep. With that being said, everyone, check out the next couple of things. Follow everyone on social. Come on out, explore, hang out, have fun. We'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Later.
Cheers.